Sufi reacts to debate between Candace OWEN and Russell Brand. So that's like capitalist versus socialist, you can say, roughly speaking. Also, Russell Brand is some kind of spiritual teacher. Let's play.
Look, I agree, but do you not think this individualistic culture is in itself destroying the principles at a spiritual, human level of community? Do you not?
Completely agree. It's ego. So Russell is someone who meditates, and when the ego dissolves, non-ego, you become more we, you become more interbeing, more fana. Completely agree with Russell Brand here.
I think when people see this economic inequality, this disparity, I'm not talking about hating your little rich friend Lola Bell or whoever it was. You went round to see her nanny and were infuriated by it, but thought, oh, well, maybe one day I'll have my own nanny. Do you not think that economic inequality creates in a human being a sense of injustice, of unfairness? Because people, do you know what, Candace? 90% of people that are rich, do you know why they're rich? They was born rich.
Okay, I can tell you something. I think that economic disparity creates that feeling, but a fundamental understanding in economics can help you
know
conquer
that the most people...
Yeah, well, I have a master's degree in economics and I work in the financial system. Everything Russell Brand says is completely accurate. I can guarantee you. You can plot the Gini coefficient or income inequality by nation, by time. You can see that it has increased. And yes, that leads exactly to what Russell Brand says, a sense of injustice. So far, Russell Brand is spot on, according to me.
People that are rich are born rich. It's not like there's a tiny minority of people that are like you that come from a poor background and manage to overcome it. And this is what's a problem I've noticed with a lot of great people, is they sort of believe that their greatness is something that can be replicated, and I don't think it can.
So I believe in the individual.
Amen. Completely agree. And that's the problem with the American dream, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has called the American nightmare. You do know that mathematically it is impossible for everyone to be rich, because richness, being a billionaire or having 1 million followers, is based on discrimination. If everyone is rich, then nobody is rich by mathematical precision. If you take all the wealth in the world and even it out with people, it's some 83 trillion. The world is going to have the same living standard as Russia or Turkey. That's about 10.7 thousand GDP per capita for every person. So then nobody is rich. So it's based on some having a lot and many having little. The Pareto distribution is completely correct. Let's play.
Replicated, and I don't think it can.
I see. So I believe in the individual. You don't. That's our fundamental differences.
That the primary goal of the individual should be to serve the community.
I do not believe that the primary goal of
what do you think the primary goal of the individual should be? To serve the individual.
So you're discounting the human spirit.
I'm not discounting it. I'm saying that's all there is.
Let me ask you. No, there's not.
There's ego.
Animals in the wild. You don't even have to go to humanity. We can just think about animals in the wild. What is our human instinct, okay? Are you going to make sure that everyone on this block is fed before you feed yourself? Do you go around and say, hey, have you had breakfast this morning?
Listen.
So you want humanity to degenerate to a survival instinct? The survival level? Being out in the hoods hunting? That's why we have civilization by definition, so that we don't have to be in survival instinct, so that we don't have to be in the woods with a spear and immediately when we see another human being, it's fight or flight. That's why we have civilization, to avoid having to survive and fight with people in the woods for a living.
Breakfast this morning? Hey, are you going to make sure you're eating? And if you have an excess, of course you're going to do the human condition, and our incentives are going to be to want to help people.
Are you mental? Link says the richest 15 people on the planet have got as much cumulative wealth as the poorest 5 billion.
Yeah. But you're talking
Pareto distribution.
No. Okay. Excuse me. First and foremost, you're talking about literally 0.00001% of the world is what you're talking about.
No, he's not talking. He's talking about the Pareto distribution, that a very small percentage of people, less than 1%, own probably more than half that wealth in the world. I've looked at the numbers. They are very, very clear. It's very, very, very skewed to a very few elite. This is known as the Gini income inequality. You can measure it over 100-year time period per nation. This is all in economic statistics. It's all there. That's what he's talking about.
Okay, and what are they preaching? What do they want? Socialism, so that nobody.
What?
They're the ones-
What? And this is the worst argument by the American right wing, that the rich people want socialism. Of course, they don't want socialism. Socialism means that the people own that wealth. So with socialism, they won't be rich. So they will do everything in the whole world so that you will not have socialism. That's the end of their power. So what the hell is she talking about? Astaghfirullah.
0.00001% of the world is what
Let's
you're
get
talking
'em.
about. Okay,
Let's
but
get 'em.
and what are they preaching? What do they want? Socialism, so that nobody else has the opportunity to become what they've become. They're the ones that are pushing forward.
socialism.
Yes,
That's not
they
real
are.
socialism. Well,
Patience.
Are you kidding? George Soros doesn't want socialist policies. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, doesn't want socialist policies. They want
doesn't know
no
what
one else has
socialism
the
is.
opportunity to get to
we
where they
need to
got.
discuss our language, me and you, because
We do.
Here's what my socialism looks like. Take Jeff Bezos' wealth from him, except for a reasonable stipend for him to live on. Something like, he can have 10 million a year or something. Tax Amazon to the ground.
So the rich people.
Or I will add Russell Brand, create a cooperative out of Amazon. Give it back to the people. Take away the private ownership completely. Socialize the entire Amazon. That's another option. But yeah, you can also completely regulate it and tax it with the state. That's also socialism.
Pay for 85% of all of the taxes. You think they should pay for even more?
Yeah.
Do you think
That's fact.
Yeah, they
That's
should.
fact.
They
Yes.
should.
Don't look at
And
me
it's
with
not
that.
even fact. It's
That's a fact.
completely
The
wrong
top
numbers, but
10%
all right.
pay for 85% of all the taxes.
No,
And people say they're going to raise their taxes more. I'm just like, how much more?
They have holding companies in Bermuda and Cayman Islands to avoid a lot of tax. Candace OWEN does not know what she's talking about.
Should we just say pay for all the taxes?
I say this, that there is no, when you're about to use an example from the natural world, and then
I'm talking about
you
America,
backed
by the
off
way.
it,
I
didn't
forgot
you?
that I'm in. No, I was gonna say the instinct when you're in the natural world is that you feed your family first. You're not the idea that socialism tries to create goes
we are
against
no longer
human.
in the natural world, are we? We're in a world of sort of accumulation and excess, and I don't think it's even working. I wonder about sort of, look, I wonder, because you could say, where do you draw the line? Because look at me, I've got money now, I'm not poor anymore, and I'm not going, right, I'll just take everything that's, the thing that I do agree with when I see like sort of right-wing commentators talk, like they talk about people that are, in inverted commas, from the left, and they go, well, why don't you put some refugees in your house? Why don't you give up your money? And the reason is because people are selfish, and in all of us, there is a kind of battle between, like some of my impulses, Candace, are, I just want pleasure and fun.
The jihad
I
al-nafs.
don't care about anything except myself. That's
That's the jihad al-nafs, the inner jihad or battle against your ego. Yeah.
in me. That's in me and it's strong. But I personally think I don't feel good when I live that way. There are consequences for me and there are consequences for others. I kind of want to live within systems that encourage collective and communal values. That instead of
we're talking about theft.
no, we're not talking about
Demanding
theft.
that people give
Unselfish,
up their stuff is theft. But it's
No, we're not talking about theft. We're talking about being unselfish, empathetic, solidaric. Russell Brand is talking about solidarity, the core value of socialism.
Sounds pretty when you say
Listen here.
encourage incentives. No, when the government comes and demands
You
that I
keep
give
bring-
to someone
no,
else,
listen,
that's theft.
you keep translating what I'm saying
helping
into.
you.
No, you're not helping me. You're
Strawmans.
He's
You're
talking about
strawmans.
theft.
You're translating what
Straw
I'm
men.
saying into rhetoric that you can argue with, creating straw men of my words as we go, so
not
you
straw
can kick
men.
them
That is
over.
theft.
No, that's. I'm not saying that. I'm not espousing the values of big government. I'm not saying that there's any political party that currently exists that in any way represents my views.
Me
I'm
neither.
just asking if in politics, both personally and collectively, there's room for a little more compassion and love. And whilst I agree with your that there is something easy to fetishize about individual achievements, that in your own case or wherever we see greatness, we can't take that example of the ability of the individual to overcome adversity to condemn people that haven't been able to. Like, where is there a role then for compassion and kindness? I'm not saying let's
Not
create a
in
big
politics.
government and take away
Not
all
in
the...
politics. So my thing is that the
Why not?
conversation should be completely separate. Americans give $500 billion in charity every single year. Okay, it has been proven that when you lower the tax rate, when government stays out of our paycheck, we actually give more. That we're inclined.
That's bullshit. Come on, you know it. America has 22 trillion something in GDP. That's way more than any other country. and you have poor people in America, and you have increased wealth inequality in America. So you're the richest nation and the most stubborn to not help anyone. And America is not building Africa. America is not building Latin America. Instead, America is corrupting African governments so that they can suck more. America is corrupting Latin American governments so they can suck more. And America is corrupting Middle Eastern countries so they can suck the oil out of there. And trying to divide Taiwan and China. So that's complete rubbish.
If you have more money and you're able to do it, of course you want to give and you want to help. When the government is saying we're going to tax your business, if you're successful, you're going to get taxed more. What is the incentive for you to want to jump and build a business if you know that you're going to be penalized for it? You're going to be penalized for success.
I will explain what it is. In socialism, you will own the business collectively, and if you work in a company, you will have a small stake in it, so you will be even more motivated, rather than work in an exploitative capitalist system where someone else take the product or the fruit of your work. So again, Candace OWEN doesn't know what socialism is.
That's why we believe in limited government. When I say we, obviously I work for an organization, Turning Point
I also
USA.
believe in limited government.
What's that all about?
It's
That's not socialism.
Turning Point
What are we
USA.
meant to
We're
turn
launching
to?
it in the UK,
This is
TP
one
UK.
form
That's
of
what this whole trip is
socialism.
about. It sounds
You're
good
hold
too.
on a minute. You're launching Turning Point, and Turning Point is what? What do you want us to turn to?
It's conservative principles taught in the school system, because the kids are learning this lolly-dolly merry-go-round, the world's going to be purple and we're all going to have lollipops in the school systems. And then
That's
possibly
woke
from
left.
your
That's not
podcast,
socialism.
I guess I haven't watched enough
That's woke left. That's not socialism.
episodes. And it's just not. It's the truest, the economic model of letting people find success because they're willing to work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you shouldn't be rewarded. I don't believe in that. I don't believe, well, what about the person who doesn't have your drive?
Why should economic systems govern the way that we live our lives? Why is there not room for people to be different? Why is it that a person's
You can't
value
be
and
different.
worth should be distilled into
That's called the natural
economic
market. You can't
units?
make that go away.
It's not called the natural
Yes, it is.
It's
You
not.
can't make that
You've
go
applied
away.
that.
No
It's
matter
called
what.
greediness.
Tell me in the history of the world where there hasn't been some give and some take. You can't make that go away. There's no magic wand that you can wave that's going to make human incentives and what happens in humanity go away. Doesn't matter how.
Sure, there is. It's called socialism, and it works everywhere, even in China.
How rich or how poor society is. There's going to be give, there's going to be take. People are going to create natural markets. Hey, I have 3 apples. I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, it just happens. This is the way the world works.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have certain natural impulses to trade and to cooperate.
Well, if you're enjoying that conversation with Candace, let me know who you thought.
Okay, let me know. In short, I think Russell Brand did a very good job showing socialist values. He showed solidarity, empathy, sharing, and all of these kinds of things. Russell Brand is a spiritual person. Spiritual people have an easier time to understand socialism, and spiritual people tend to lean to socialism. And I would say that the original forms of religion, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, practice as the prophets, are sharing, they are caring, they are empathetic, they lean to socialism. Candace OWEN is very much me. I am successful, therefore everyone can be successful like me. She's young, she doesn't know how the world works, she has not tasted some of the bitter end of capitalism yet. So it's very much we versus me, the sort of socialist sharing versus me, the egoistic capitalist kind of dynamic you see in this debate. I think this is one of the best debates. And I think Russell Brand did an excellent job showing some of the socialist values on sharing and collective. Hopefully this was interesting. Peace.